So a couple definitions I want to start off with. The first one is aggregate supply. This is the sum total of all production from all firms in an economy. The second definition is short-run aggregate supply. And this is the hourly, daily, weekly, or monthly decisions that firms have to make in order to produce. Long-run aggregate supply is the length of time it takes to input prices to fully adjust to changes in economic conditions. So now I'm going to discuss the short-run aggregate supply and long-run aggregate supply slopes. First is short-run aggregate supply, and because of goods, prices influence production rather than sticky input prices, the short-run aggregate supply curves have an upward slope. Prices are considered sticky when sellers establish them at a low level and do not swiftly modify them in reaction to shifts in the economy or in the level of prices. And as you can see here, there's an image of an upward sloping short-run aggregate supply graph. So next is long-run aggregate supply. And because there is no change in aggregate supply when prices fluctuate, long-run aggregate supply curves are vertical. This is also an estimate of what an economy could produce at maximum capacity. And as you can see from the image, there's a vertical long-run aggregate supply graph. So to construct a short-run aggregate supply and long-run aggregate supply curve, there are movements and shifts. And a movement comes from price change. This is in both the short-run aggregate supply and long aggregate supply. And the shifts for short-run aggregate supply are due to a change in the cost of production. And then for long-run aggregate supply, this is due to a change in the means of production. So this could be labor, capital, technology, or natural resources. And then a shift for both is when the long-run aggregate supply shifts, the short-run aggregate supply shifts as well. And so in our practice, on the Chapter 12 worksheet, you'll see a chart that shows potential shifts in the short-run aggregate supply and the long-run aggregate supply. And you must determine whether it shifts short-run aggregate supply or long-run aggregate supply or both, and to what direction. And then in the review on the following page, you will see a chart where you will use the spaces to demonstrate shifts in the aggregate demand, short-run aggregate supply, and long-run aggregate supply, as well as one graph on each. And that's it for this video. Thank you.